Okay, cool. Okay, guys, thanks for taking the call today. We have decided to do a strike, kind of keep it local, keep it with, we'll call you stars, quality players that have reached the top as high as they can go right now for this second anyway. And just to give kind of an idea to the parents out there and the kids themselves, to listen to what it has taken for you to be the guys you are, first of all, the type of guy you are, and the player you are. And I'm glad the two of you had the names, actually, because when I met you first at minor level, Patter swore blind that you were just messing with him, that you changed your name every night of training. But I just think as guys, first of all, the quality I saw in you as young kids hasn't changed at all. Like, you're 22 now, you're driving on the senior teams, and I think your drive and passion when you got injured and the serious knee injuries and stuff that inevitably happen, unfortunately, but the way you've come back better, stronger, even when you were injured, getting involved with underage teams and stuff, I think they're the types of guys that definitely what I'm trying to get to on strike is, like, I'm dealing with 6 and 7 year old kids up to 13 or 14. So I like to give them local talent to look up to, So thanks a million for taking the call. I really appreciate it. Can we just start with your twins, obviously, but I would rate you as conscientious, hard-working, driven young men. But growing up, was there a leader between the two of you, or were you just naturally competitive against each other, or did you make agreements to not go for the same position? Or
no, I think it was just natural, to be honest. Both was kind of just, we kind of bounced off one another. If one of us were kind of playing poor, the other would say, if I was playing bad in a game, Tom would get on to me, and vice versa. That was kind of it, really. It was competitive amongst each other more so than one being more so than the next.
Did you do a lot? Did you were playing in the front garden, obviously, a lot?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like, to be 7 or 8 years of age and to have someone the same age as you right beside you, to always go out and puck with the same ability, more or less, as well. Like, a lot of kids don't have that opportunity. They're kind of, let's say they might have an older brother who might be 3 or 4 years older, but they may not be as patient with you, whereas we were at the exact same level. So it was ideal. So,
you're saying Jack is patience with you. I think as well as every part of our session, no matter what age we're doing, the fundamental movement skills, like the basic stuff, running, jumping, turning, twisting, falling, rolling, all that stuff. You did that in the garden, like, unfortunately, I know you're still young at 22, 23, but the kids now, like you say, they don't have like when we had the lockdown there, everybody was given it, like, online everything was against the wall and stuff. Yeah. And that's okay though, right? But you didn't mention playing against the wall. You mentioned...
No, that can only bring you so far, really, in my opinion, anyway. It's kind of being out there doing it with somebody else that really brings you on more so.
Yeah, I think that little 1v1 competitive nature kind of, like, your skills are honed that way, really. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I think we can play against the wall. It's boring as well, really, to be honest with you. It's hard.
It was ideal for us, even the fact that we have a younger sister and she could stand inside in goals and the two of us can go out, peel in and puck away or hit off each other or whatever it was, but it was grand. It worked out well, I suppose.
I had her on a Zoom call for the ladies' football.
I heard.
I didn't know her. I haven't met her, really. I saw her at the minor final, obviously, and I looked. My eyes are going, so I had to check the names. I go, oh, another one, lovely. But you're delighted to have that personality. Yeah. Obviously, one of the younger ladies that were on that Zoom call, and no issues with getting her point across. What happened last year? It's a character in the house, obviously, that your dad and mum have kind of...
Yeah, we'd all be competitive, right, to be fair.
Yeah, it's great though, isn't it? It's great.
I think from a perspective, let's say, for the fundamental movements, that for the fact we were the oldest in our family, let's say, so there was no one older than us that was, playing a PlayStation or, like, even though it may only been 12 or 13 years ago, we were 7 and 8 years of age. Like time has moved on an awful lot, with regards to, PlayStations and Xboxes, and there's so many things out there now, but we never had them in our house until we were, 11 or 12. So it was kind of great the fact that any opportunity we got, it was kind of more or less spent outside. Whereas, like if we had an older sibling that, let's say, did have an awful lot of involvement in that technology, that maybe we might have got caught in that a bit more. But from a young age, we didn't have anything else to entertain ourselves with other than.
You're impressionable at that age, aren't you? You're impressionable. You're going to do what your bigger brother or sister does, like. So you obviously were good role models for Ashling, isn't it?
Yeah. And Charlie as well, sure.
Oh yeah, well, there'd be no fear of him.
Yeah.
You were obviously, growing up, like you were obviously physically stronger as well. Do you know that chronological age and development age of players? It's been discussed now a lot. And there's this thing where some sports like rugby are you're going to play against your weight and size rather than your age.
Yeah.
You want to say 6 4
14. Everyone every different child and even teenager, we all develop at different stages. Like, so even for myself and Tom, we would have been especially when we were 12 and 13, we were kind of the weaker players nearly, as in just middle of the road. And then we kind of got a bit of spring and developed a small bit more when we were 15. And I suppose that kind of brought us on an awful lot, because like say, when you're talking about your under 13s and your under 14 development squads, we weren't really on them. It was just kind of when we got our burst later, I suppose, and because we'd have been awful slow, like for our age of 12 and 13. But then, say when we got to 15 and 16, we kind of sprung up a bit, and it benefited us them per se at minor level. But before that, we hadn't really had much success at all. Really, we're kind of just your regular child, no better than the man beside, we're no worse, really, Jack.
Yeah, that's funny now that you say it, because the minor final that year, I did hear some people afterwards, especially in their old and stuff, they were surprised how well ye two had played in particular. And sure, I had come that year and you were our 2 star players. Like I was like, okay, if they had said it about 2 maybe younger players or something, I was shocked. So obviously he had developed more or less right for the age. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, you weren't stars at 12, and because so there is new papers out. As I was saying to you earlier, there's a new paper out that there's actually no direct correlation. There's no correlation at all between success underage and success at senior level. And I know I saw you back training last night, and Tom, Jesus, it was savage to see you back training last night. I was shocked actually. You're back earlier than you.
I'm 8 months post surgery now, so it's good to be back on the field now, so I'm happy out.
Yeah, turning and twisting, no more.
It's just a gradual process now of incorporating a bit of contact, and I'm good to go then hopefully for 6 or 7 weeks time.
Yeah, super. It's just that's another thing, that those injuries. We spoke to Craig Casey a couple of weeks ago, and he's obviously had his own surgeries, and he's come through it as well, and he was finding the lockdown kind of handy because he's used to being on his own training while the boys are on the pitch, But both of you have had ACL injuries, like, so.
Yeah.
And you both, Jack, you came back last 2 years ago, and I remember last summer it was like a death in the club when we thought both of you were coming. Poor old Tom was obviously diagnosed with an ACL, and when Jack wasn't, there was nearly before we didn't lose both of you,
Yeah.
But it's great though that you are so driven to come back from the injury. Like there's so many people that would use the injury as an excuse. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they come back half-hearted. It's very hard. Don't get me wrong. It's a year out. Well, the bones of a year out, and to come back early as you did. You came back early as well, Jack, didn't you?
No, I was kind of just bang on time, really. I tried to come back a bit earlier, but the club didn't let me more so than anyone else.
Somebody used their head.
Yeah, but, exactly.
How do you feel about players playing above their age?
I think it's. I would agree. Like, so it's for ourselves now. I played 4 years of minor football and 3 years of minor hurling. So like I was 14 going up against a 17 or 18-year-old for football. But at first I found it daunting, but I kind of slowly grew into it. And then the following year, even at 15 or 16, even though I was still out of the age, I felt like a kind of a leader in the team, and I just felt it brought me on kind of physically and mentally to know that this is what it takes. Like, so like further down the road, then when we were minor, we actually fitted into the adult game a lot quicker than a lot of people would, because we had been used to training and playing against fellas that were bigger and stronger. But like, if the managements are tough, if they're in line, like, they don't want to pull and drag, it works. But when you have certain lads that want to, get them myself training Tuesday night and they want me training Wednesday night, then training Thursday, matching Friday and Saturday, it just doesn't work. So like, if the seasons don't collide and there is communication between all parties involved, it can work. But if one of them measures kind of falls down, the player is going to be the one bearing the brunt of it, and it's not fair on them. So I just think a bit of responsibility from above, and like, you have to listen to your body as well. Like, if I know myself now at this stage that if I am feeling tired, I'm not going to perform to my best ability. So like, with the right structures in place, you can play it, but without it, I'm not too sure.
The structure comes from the coaching
Yeah,
system though,
communication is everything. Like, so let's say, Kieran, if you were over the minor football and I was under 16, and let's say Paddy McMahon was over the under 16 footballers, and you've Michael Foyle or someone over the hurling. If you're all in communication, it will work. But if there is a lapse in communication, then it won't. So that's just the way I
absolutely. You'll often get everybody gives it lip service. Really, when you'll meet at the start of the year and everybody is getting on, the training hasn't started, and I know, we won't burn them this year, no, we won't do this and we won't do that, and oh God, I agree with you. And then you meet first week of training, and they want to do 3 days of, say, football, and the hurlers have agreed to do 2 days, or vice versa, or whatever. And you kind of go, no, do you remember we said about like, we're not going to keep them every day of the week going down to the pitch? Yeah, I know, but we're only going to train them twice, like, but we have a challenge match the weekend, and you're going, oh yeah, but like, there's only 7 days in the week, and there's rest, and then you're talking about the underage, you're talking about schools, and you're talking about different sports, and you're talking about, like, we're lucky enough in Bearfield, really, like, there's buckets of talent there, like.
Yeah.
But can I get onto that one? About the talent, not just in Bearfield, but everywhere? Like, I'm a firm believer that the talent in Clare is equal to any other county for literally every sport that you can name. Like if you look nationally, we're competitive at nearly everything. Right all the way up. Like, but how would you put it? Like, we're losing everybody by 14. Like, we're losing 75% of players after 14 years of age. Like soccer is Kennedy Cup, right? And if you leave Dublin out of it, like, Kennedy Cup is the most important thing you can play in soccer, because more or less, like, we are a GAA county. Do you know what I mean? You have a couple of stars that will be exceptional rugby players. You'll have a couple of players that will be exceptional soccer players. But I think, like, it's hard. We're doing something. We need to change something to keep players playing after 14, 15 years of age. Girls are more, again, like, they're dropping off even more than that. So you go from having 50 kids at 14 and you go to having 7 or 8 kids at 18. Do you know? What's your take on what are we doing wrong?
It's kind of hard to put your finger on any one problem, really, but I don't know. I presume the fact that people are dropping off is maybe because down to not enjoying it as much, I suppose. So let's just say if you weren't getting enough, if you weren't playing enough, or if you just felt like you were down there and kind of standing in as a cone nearly instead of actually being a part of the session, it could be demoralising, especially at 15 and 16 when lads are kind of developing at different ages as well. There could be 3 or 4 lads of training and they get all the ball because they're the strongest, and then there could be your 2 or 3 weaker lads and they don't feel like they're hitting any balls, so they just might stop going or whatever. But I don't know. I think it's a hard one to really know why so many different drop away.
As well, I think it comes down to, like, your peers' perception of of the level you're playing at, and it's kind of, you can see there's a correlation exactly with the, like, a 2-tier interfootball county or county football championship that they're proposing. Do you really want to be playing the second division when people, it's kind of looked down upon, whereas you want to be playing at the top? So, like, that means you have a B team in a club. Is that just kind of down there, is that treated as just a B team, or is there people that actually care about winning and they actually value it? Because any kid that feels valued will stick at it, I find, anyway. And if you're kind of stuck in a rut there, 13, 14, stuck playing for the second team or whatever, and the coaches aren't showing maybe the desire or the kind of the effort towards that team as they are towards their top 15, 16 players for the A team, that can become demoralising. So I think a lot of it comes from social perception of the levels we're playing at, and just accepting certain people's levels, that not everyone is the caliber of an A player at this moment in time. Let's kind of give them a chance at a different grade, but let's still have a championship that's worth playing for at the end of the line, so they can strive to win something important. And if you had 9 or 10 clubs that started to value a championship, that soon becomes 10 or 12 and 13, and then you've a real competitive competition on your hands. And people want to, nobody wants a cakewalk competition where it's easy won. You want something hard fought for that you can say that you earned. And if kids kind of had that, I think it kind of
go on.
You just look at even the second teams and clubs, like in Clare now, we've Inagh Kilnamona with great numbers, ourselves, Clarecastle, Aero, Kilmaley. But often, these numbers start to dwindle now, and at 15, 16, and they don't have a second team, and then the fellas that are left, they're kind of humming and hawing if they will stick out or not, and that's kind of where there's a bit of a drop off.
But even in and another part on Tom's point there, in Bearfield, I know for the under 14 football last year, say the first team and the second team train separate. I just feel myself that if I was 12, 13 years of age and I was going down and I didn't feel like I was good enough to play with some of the other boys of my age or my friends, that could kind of make you want to kind of maybe try your hand in maybe soccer instead, and then the same thing could happen there, and then you're left playing no sport. So I think it's the kid feeling that he's valued down at the field as well, as much as anything else, really, because it's them they're the people who are enjoying it most. It's the children,
Well, I think there's a couple of things that we said parents would have mentioned to me over the years and stuff. Game time is always massive, all right? I know you would have won underage and stuff, but I remember saying to you before minor matches and stuff that really and truly when you get into your 20s and 30s and you're chatting to the boys, winning an under 14 championship isn't going to be what you're going to be talking about. You're really, your minor, did you win a minor, did you win a senior, that's really and truly. So I would like us to get to the, not just Bearfield now, but I would like us to get to the stage that 12, 13, 14, 15 is development, and if the coaches could get to, if we could, winning is still important. You have to learn how to win, and you have to learn how to lose, and you have to learn how to be able to shake hands after a game and everything. I'm all for that, but I'm adamant that if winning those championships means that we lose 50% of the kids in the next 18 months, we've lost the championship. Do you understand? If you compare it to the West Clare, we'll say Kilmurray Bricken or Milltown, who have won, but they haven't won an underage in.
Yeah, they retain all their players though.
But they have. If you go up to training, exactly, they have. And people will say, Kilmurray Bricken played minor B and stuff like this, but maybe they didn't have the players, but they didn't want to have their players getting hammered every week, maybe. And they played competitive. I know they won their minor B, but they get more players through to senior, and they have definitely the best results for senior championships.
Sure, they're getting more players through with. They're getting more players through with, say, a less number to begin with as well. They might only have 12-year-olds, but you can nearly be sure that 8 of them or 7 of them will play senior or junior.
That's it. And it's not. I don't think it's. Some parents came to me in strike even and said, their kids aren't developed yet, and there's probably, there's obviously levels. You're at a certain level at a different age group. You might be a late developer, you might be an early developer. Your skill level might be high, but you might be small. Your skill level might be low, but you might be very big and strong. There's loads of different things that could be happening. But we related to winning the under 14 championship or the under 16 championship. Do you know what I mean? So you're very good if you win the championship, but you're not good at all if you don't win the championship.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're talking about 45 children or 40 kids with an A and a B team, like you can't judge it that way. You have to judge it. We need to set our parameters to how many do we still have playing at 18?
Yeah.
And then 3 years later, how many players are ready to go into the senior team, first team?
Yeah.
And then if you go back, do you know, I don't know, did you ever see that? I look it up on YouTube, it's excellent. Ian Wright met his former coach.
I saw it,
from school.
Yeah.
That guy made the world of an impression on Ian Wright. Even though he's Arsene Wenger and all these guys are looking after him. That's the guy that he remembered. Do you know? And I don't think he would have remembered him just because he won the under-14 championship. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like, but even myself, I was like, so Jack actually made teams kind of ahead of me when we were around 14, and we were both backs and in hurling, and I can just remember that I wasn't really going well. I was kind of flirting with kind of getting in their corner back maybe, and then following year then we were playing under, so myself and Jack would be under 15, but we were playing under 16s, and Sean McMahon actually moved me up to the forwards and just gave me a lease of life, and like all I need is just one fella to give you a bit of an out kick there, so just a bit of a go and somewhere else, and it was a fresh start for me, and I just completely transformed my game, and that was it. I haven't looked back then since. Like, I've always been a half forward then since. So
yeah, but can you imagine if there was no Sean McMahon there, and
I could still be fighting with Jack from one position back corner back.
or worse, Tom, you mightn't have been playing at all. Like,
exactly, yeah.
Do you know? Would you like? Don't get me wrong. It's I presume it's great to have a twin most of the time, but if your twin is successful and being first name on the team sheet and stuff, and you're inside hoping to get corner back and you don't, and you're not enjoying it, and you know, it's hard, like, you know. So I think coaching it's getting more. We have to give it more thought than we are, and we have to try and keep these guys going for the good of every club, like for the good of every club. I know, talking to Rogan and everybody, and having United and this town, they're all the same problem, like, you know, trying to get lads up to senior, trying to get lads up to youths even, you know. Listen, come here, lads, I'm conscious of time here. So school and college and stuff, I mentioned to you there before we started, it's awful hard to get a scholarship in GA, isn't it?
Extremely, yeah.
Like,
unless you're kind of, most of the scholarships handed out directly to an inter-county player, like, you know, so
it is very established one.
But for college now, I know in Munster, in every province, there is a Munster bursary there, let's say. That's worth €750, and you have to go through an interview process, and part of that interview process is how much do you contribute to your club, maybe are you involved in teams, that kind of crap. We actually never had to do it because when we were first year at college, we were able to declare footballers, the seniors, and you're not eligible to get it when you're with an inter-county team, because the bursary is specifically for young adults that aren't involved with an inter-county senior setup. So we were getting a bursary off the GPA, and and the fact that we made inter-county match day panel then that summer, we got a further scholarship from the GPA for the following year. So
good.
There is a bit of financial reward there in regards to that.
Yeah, no, it's good, because it's there in soccer for people that didn't know about it as well. You know, Maurice Nugent, who we'll be chatting to tomorrow. Do you know, he played with G, obviously.
Yeah, we know Maurice.
Yeah. So Maurice obviously went down the soccer route. Playing with Galway United now, and has a couple of Olympics, University Olympics under his belt now as well, you know. And it's interesting that, you know, your love for GAA is matched by his love of soccer, you know. But you're very, very similar in single-minded, you know, easy to talk to, because you know what you're getting when you're speaking to you, you know. You know your mind. You know, if I'm coaching you and it's a bad session, I don't know. I don't need to look anywhere else. Like, it's coming at me. But that's the way it should be. But that's the way it should be. Like, we get better. Everybody gets better if we talk and there's no egos involved. And, you know, you're there to make your team better, because you know you can't play without your team. You can't win without your team. Like,
that kind of, I suppose, that kind of comes with especially when you get older, a kind of a will to win. Like, so say, now we're down intermediate now, say in the hurling and the football, it really make you want to get back up to senior, because you're looked at a bit different when you're senior. If you're
look, as we said, we've got the numbers in Barefoot are too big to be in intermediate, but you can't get there by talking, can you?
No, exactly. So,
you know, come here, we better move on, because we'll be going in 2 or 3 minutes. Have you ever thought of playing any other sport? Has anyone approached you and said, Jesus, you'd be fine? I have a couple of ideas, obviously, but
we actually played an awful lot of rugby when we were young. So we played rugby from we played when we were about 5 years of age until 18. But
what were you, flankers, centres?
Centres,
where?
yeah.
Centres, yeah.
Yeah.
Like we actually went well. Like we
There's a shock.
We were good players, like, but you know, we had to make a decision what we wanted to stick at, and I think a lot of it comes down to, you know, Jack was injured for a good bit this year, and we were under 18. But I was doing well in the rugby, and you know, I think I could have maybe, you know, a few people may have got a bit interested and turned a few eyes and stuff. But I was involved with the Clare minor hurling and football panels, so like, you know, it couldn't all stay going. And
that's your love, though, right?
Yeah, halfway through the season, you know, I had to make a call, and I think a lot of it comes down to where we're from too. We're from Clare, you know. Maybe we were like, we have an exception now in Dorberfield that we actually have two lads that are just doing great things in the rugby at the moment, and Tony and Ethan. But you know, they're one of a few. Maybe if Venice Rugby Club was based 20 minutes in towards Limerick, you know, you could have more fellas actually sticking at the rugby and not playing the GA. But that did definitely turn my head for a while, but eventually the GA kind of took over again. But like, I would be of the opinion to the lads that have an opportunity to pursue a professional sport, that are playing GA, and if they're getting a lot of success in it, that they should pursue it, because I think GA clubs, you know, let's say that the 2 lads in our club now, if they go on and succeed, everyone will be delighted for them. But let's say if it doesn't happen at the end of the day, we'll all embrace and back it up with arms. So like,
that's massive.
If you have a real grow for soccer or for rugby or any professional sport, and if that's what you really want to pursue, I don't think anyone should begrudge you for pursuing it over GAA, which at the end of the day is an amateur sport. We welcome them all back, so that'd be my take.
Yeah, that is, isn't it? Because like, it's so hard to make it. Like, you know, like even Craig Casey there is like obviously well thought of, but he's still got loads of steps to, you know,
yeah, exactly.
He would think, you know. So the boys are going well anyway. All right, lads, before we leave it, 3 things that you would go and tell if I brought you into one of our classes and the kids wanted to know 3 things they could do grown up that could make them better player, better person, and to be the best they could be and fulfill their dreams. 3 things.
Go first.
Talking to you with. I suppose number 1 would be would say like every day you go down to the field, make sure you're having fun. Like, so say like that, if that means you're going down and you're feeling a bit down, when you go down to the field, make sure you're enjoying what you're doing, because like if you're going down and enjoying kicking the ball or hitting a sliotar or whatever, passing the ball or whatever it is, you're going to get more out of the hurling session, especially when you're 10 and 11. You'll get more satisfaction coming away if you're enjoying what you're doing. Then the second thing, I suppose, I would be listening to your parents and to your coaches as well, because they're there to facilitate the kids at the end of the day. So say if you're 8 or 9 years of age, they're only down there to facilitate you to enjoy time with your friends and to get good at something, or to just whatever it is to stay active. So I'd be saying listen to your parents and your coaches. And then the last one would be to, as you do grow up, don't be worrying about the people, say Tom to your left or Jack to your right.
Oh, that's brilliant, yeah. You
know, kind of worry about yourself. Like, realistically, when you go out onto a hurling pitch or a football field, you want to play well for yourself first, and you want to play well for your team afterwards. But you want, like, and that doesn't mean being selfish, but it means, you know, that.
No,
100%. If you're enjoying it more, you know. So
definitely. Look, to get to your level and the level of any high achieving player, you have got to do probably more than everybody else anyway. Like natural talent will only get you so far. And if you have to apologise to somebody for trying your best or worried about making a mistake, you're always going to be,
focus on yourself as well as the people.
Tom, we've got 2 minutes.
My 3 points, I just advise any, nothing comes without hard work. So just you have to work your socks off. If you really want it, you'll get there. I think resilience. I think you have to be very resilient to make it. Even me and Jack haven't exactly made it yet, and we still have an awful long way to go. But we've had some significant bumps in the road now with surgeries and injuries and stuff. And I'm not afraid of getting injured, and I want to go back and play. So I think that's a sign of resilience.
Definitely, 100%.
And then I just think have self-belief, because if you don't believe in yourself, no one else can expect anyone else. So
it's brilliant.
It's definitely something that has let me down at times, is that absence of self-belief, but it's definitely something I want to work on, just because I know I'll be a better player for it. So I think self-belief is a big thing itself. That's
brilliant, guys. Honestly, I really, really appreciate it. Getting lads your age to, sometimes it could be laughed at and stuff, but your insight and your experiences being recently underage, we'll say, is huge for the parents, especially, to hear what it is like, to what's needed, to be the best you can be, and give them every opportunity they can be. But I really, really appreciate it, and we'll see each other very soon, obviously.
Thanks,
guys. Thanks a million. Thanks very much. Thank you.